Amy Sutton. I'm from GHDWoodhead, and I'm part of the team that refurbished Abbotsford Primary School starting in 2016. Thank you, pardon, let's get through that. The VSBA had projected increased enrolment figures for this school, and so they needed much more floor area, and they also needed to update the school facilities to match a modern pedagogy. This 140-year-old building has been significantly reconfigured to deliver a contemporary learning environment. This is the original building as existing. Abbotsford Primary School was established in 1877, and it was extended in the 1920s, but there's been no significant modification since. The original building on the left is of historical significance, whereas the extension of the 1920s amenities block suffered numerous plumbing problems and was also not university compliant. The 1920s building therefore has been demolished and updated to meet modern safety and accessibility standards, while the existing building, the historical building, has been refurbished. Our design ethos was to deliver a modern pedagogy while respecting the original existing features of the building. We opened up traditional cellular classrooms into learning communities and also enclosed a courtyard area at the centre of the building to form this atrium featured, which is a focal point and the heart of the school. So back in time, this is existing, and this is what we started with. Notice that the building is impinged between these two suburban streets, and that the playgrounds are blocked by the building itself. The 1877 building is shown in yellow, and the 1920s extension in blue in this image. Physical education was particularly difficult to deliver given that the playgrounds were damaged and unsuitable. There's also no covered area for wet weather days. Our master plan connected these two previously disparate playgrounds through the centre of the building, through the new heart that we created in the corridor. We preserved the 1877 buildings and its main entrance to the north, while loading all of our new features and community-facing facilities to the south and the community entrance. A facilities analysis found that the existing building was unable to meet modern pedagogies. The classrooms are traditional cellular classrooms accessed by narrow corridors. They're impinged upon by these chimneys and the remnants of old platforms. Storage arrangements within the classrooms make them very inflexible, and there is poor access to natural light. Additionally, the floor areas were well below the 60 metres squared of the new department standard, and there were no breakout spaces or variety of spaces like withdrawal rooms, etc., in the existing facilities. Key, there was no space large enough for the whole school to gather at any one point. Our refurbishment addressed the pedagogical issues first. So what we did was open up the groups of 3 traditional classrooms into open learning communities that could take 4 classrooms. The way we did that was by including new mezzanines within the classrooms and also including area that was previously part of the corridors into the learning spaces. And these interventions optimised the amount of floor area we could get out of the existing footprint, and that was a very cost-effective way to address the floor areas. The school didn't need an extension, which was what was expected. This axonometric of a typical learning environment shows how we reimagine the spaces. There's a variety of spaces there, from wet areas to withdrawal spaces in the mezzanines. Mobile furniture means that the classrooms are adaptable to a variety of teaching modalities. Comfort was also improved with the use of natural plywood throughout and soft green acoustic panel and materials to soften what was previously a hospital blue plaster. Updated heating and cooling systems were also employed, as well as a new electrical system, and linings are applied to the perimeter building walls for some insulative benefit. A core approach to our design ethos was a soft touch philosophy. We made as many small modifications as possible to open up the rabbit warren of corridors and to link spaces so that circulation was more legible. Where we had existing openings, we didn't seal them up, instead we maintained them. This created vistas, which allowed us to respond to one of the user requirements for unifying the campus. It's also really good for helping the students and staff intuitively orient themselves in the building. This before and after also speaks to the soft touch philosophy, where we had an existing in situ concrete stair that was non-compliant, and we adapted it rather than demolish it, using raising the balustrade heights to compliant levels, using an innovative use of plywood lining. The school was really committed to retaining the building's existing historical integrity. So we developed an ethos around preserving the old and expressing the new. So rather than mimicking or matching the features and materials, we used plywood and acoustic board to seal the scars wherever we affected the building, and this forms linings that conceal surfaces. Existing features are left exposed or painted white. Where we have existing features, we sensitively box out around them using a couple of playful motifs like curves and circles. And because we paid as much attention to the ceilings as we did to the elevations, these spaces are all encompassing.
2 minutes left.
Thank you. One of the ways we helped to unify the campus was a consistent datum for the plywood panels and acoustic board that all snake through the buildings like ribbons, turning corners, and ultimately tying back to the atrium. This extended to the services articulation, where we worked with services engineers to create plywood cable trays that snake through the ceilings and through the classrooms. And that meant we didn't have to put in new plasterboard ceilings that would have concealed the existing high-vaulted heritage ceilings. I've collected a bunch of photographs that show how we transformed the space into a safe and engaging environment. They also speak to the variety of spaces that we've created that support a modern pedagogy. By far, the biggest intervention we made was in the atrium, which originally felt very back of house, covered in services, and we transformed this into a vibrant, sun-filled gathering space. It's a performance space, it's connected to the teaching spaces, so it spills out from the learning communities, and the school now has a space that's large enough for the whole community to gather. Finally, outside, we provided an undercover court for the physical education center to go during wet weather days. I'll leave you with this quote, which is feedback from the school. GHDWoodhead have delivered a refurbishment that allows Abbotsford Primary School to fulfil our purpose. That is, providing a comprehensive education through the application of a range of teaching spaces which are supported by the new facilities. So I'm particularly proud to be a part of this project, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.